Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here on a hot take about racism and traffic signals. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Please check out my books. If you like stuff like this and you like to laugh at it, Wokistan, a novel, political satire, and of course, The Pineys, horror comedy, books 1, 2, 3, and 4, all available on Amazon.com. Trade paperback, ebook, Kindle Unlimited is free. Look for audiobook of Wokistan soon, and hopefully in August. And then the sequel to Wokistan, a novel, Hollywoke, also coming soon. And book 5 of The Pineys should be dropping this month. I have to get the cover and do some editing. Now, racist traffic signals. Now, this is the article that's going around the internet. It's from July 7th. David Kaufman reports, the unintentional racism found in traffic signals. Just because something doesn't use an offensive mascot doesn't mean it can't reinforce a broken system. Okay. This is part of the moral panic from the left. Everything is racist. He writes, Washington, D.C.'s pro football team, Aunt Jemima pancake products, Eskimo pies. They're all examples of the everyday racism that bombards people of color from the supermarket to the playing field. Boy. And that's it. Like, he picked 3 recent, pretty insane examples. I mean, when you think about it. The Redskins, that's being discussed. A lot of Native Americans they don't even care. Aunt Jemima, the mascot, was an actual real person that made tons of money, and a lot of people support her and her image. They've updated it over the years. So it's not like it's this old-timey image. And Eskimo pies, I mean, really? There's not even an Eskimo on the packaging anymore. You forgot Land O'Lakes butter. Those guys caved in like that. This is all like, oh man, everybody's oppressing you. Everybody's oppressing you. No one really cares. Only people like this care. And then he adds, they're also all iconic American products, smearing America, iconic American products that both corporations and consumers finally agree are ready for a rebrand. No, that's not true. Most people don't care. It's only people like you with your wacky gender studies, intersectional feminism, patriarchy, white fragility, BS that agree on this. Twitter, basically. What about the more far subtle streams of everyday racism that course through our homes, our workplaces, and the outside world? It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Oh my God! It's in my mouse pad. Ah! These instances may be far subtler than a mascot or an offensive term, but they are no less pervasive and no less deserving of a cultural reckoning. Yeah. So in other words, you get to decide whatever you want is racism. Everything's racist. Hey, I like this pie. Racist. Oh, I got these nail clippers. I think they're pretty good. Racist. That's all these people do all day. For me, this reckoning begins with traffic signals. Really? I think that's a complete and utter BS. That I call BS on that entire line right there. For me, this reckoning begins with traffic signals. No, I don't think so. I don't think you've been waiting for years to write this article to rage against traffic signals that are racist. I really don't, David Kaufman. I think you're full of it. That's just my opinion, but I think it's true. He writes, a few months back before COVID-19 kept us in our homes and George Floyd made us take to the streets. No, not true. I was walking with a friend, her daughter, and my twin sons. My friend is white, and I'm not. Something I'd never given a second thought until we reached the crosswalk. Remember, honey, she said to her daughter as we waited for the light to turn green, we need to wait for the little white man to appear before we can cross the street. I realized that white people like to exert control over nearly everything. Everyone does, I thought. But since when did this literally include trying to cross the street? No, you woke tard. The reason he's white is because that's the color of a light. Okay? They could have made him any color. They could have made him green. And in fact, sometimes traffic signals are green. Green for go. Sometimes it's not a little man. Sometimes it's white. Sometimes it's a little hand. So it's not even that we only use this. So this is like, man, scraping the bottom of the barrel and coming up with wood chips in terms of racism. It's this. David Kaufman, in my view, is having a moral panic. He can't, and he has to write about it. I'm so scared. Everything's racist. I've just realized. That's my version of what he thinks. My opinion. Part of my surprise here was a function of age. My boys are a few months younger than her daughter, and we hadn't tackled the crossing street component of basic toddler training. But as a black dad, I was struck by the language at play. Well, you'd probably be struck by a car if the little man was black, because you wouldn't be able to see him. I guess you could light up the rest of the little square and make them black, but wouldn't that exclude people who weren't black? Wouldn't that exclude people who weren't as dark? Could he be brown? What about Indian people? What about Asian people? What about Native Americans, sir? We'd have to make them green. It's the only solution, right? It's just nuts. Let's see what happens if we go to Google Images. Walk signals, I guess you'd call them. Walk signal. Okay. Let's see if we can find some. So you got the little hand. You got the little white man. Here he's yellow. And you got the red hand and white guy. Oh, here's one. There he's green. He's green. There's another green one. So he's not always white. Sometimes it's don't and walk. Don't walk and walk. Sometimes it's the hand and the little guy. Sometimes he's doing a little jig. Look at that. He's a little bit of high stepping in that one. Sometimes he's green. Green here, green there, green there. I mean, it's different. Oh, this one, he looks like, I don't know what he's doing there. Oh, and here's a red guy and a green guy. Red for stop, guy standing, and green for go. Here, there's a little hand pointing. They're all different. Green and red again. That kind of looks like a yellow, not quite white. Yeah, sometimes he's white because that's the color of the light. That's the color of the light. Speaking of toddlers, somebody's got to explain this guy like a toddler. Continuing. How is it possible, well into the 21st century, parents all over Manhattan, well-meaning BLM marching parents? Oh my God. You see how he does there? It's a quick, you're well-meaning if you're BLM marching. You mean, what about the guys who threw bricks through windows? What about the guys who are causing problems everywhere? Oh, well, BLM, it's just well-meaning. Just well-meaning. Are teaching their children to ask little white men for permission to cross the street. And why does this seem to bother them? No, why does it seem to bother you? It's because your obsession with race. Well, I'm not going to dig through the whole thing. I mean, let's skip to the end. Nonetheless, that little white man woke me up to the ways that language imparts power and privilege, even upon the most banal necessities. And so, as I begin teaching my boys survival basics like riding a bike, waiting in line, and yes, crossing the street. Oh, those are the survival basics? Yeah, I guess if you're in Manhattan, I'll work hard to avoid phrases like little white man. Well, good for you. Good for you. Obviously, bright light person rolls off the tongue far less mellifluously, but if an extra verbal labor is worth the price of not conceding our power to even one more little white man. Wow. Wow. It's a dark world SJWs live. A dark world indeed. Racism everywhere. I got a cupcake. Racist. Look at my new shoes. Racist. I mean, this is where we're at in society. And part of this is, they hire these freelancers. And I'm in that world. And they just need content constantly. Constant content for clicks. And this is yet another clicker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to archive his thing. So you could check it out if you want to laugh. And that way, you don't have to give him a click. Oh, somebody archived it already. I wish I had gone to archive first. But oh well. Oh well. So if you want to read this wacky thing. Oh. Wait, what's going on here? Oh, you know what? I think somebody archived it incorrectly. Looks like. Oh, that's too bad. I guess they gamed the system. Well, anyway, you don't have to read it. I mean, if you want to, you could always find it, but I wouldn't give them the click. It's just nuts the way these guys write. The unintentional racism found oh, well, thanks for making it unintentional. Doesn't sound unintentional the way you describe it. So dark and scary. Anyhow, that's it from me and Joan. Poor little Joan. Poor little Joan is white. Oh no, racist dog.